Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. In this video, we're gonna go get a little bit on the political side over here. No worries, not gonna go actually that deep, but I'm gonna be talking a little bit more once again on the topic of tariffs, the potential price increases on consoles, technology, laptops, and all the type of stuff, mainly on the PS5 Pro, and a lot of other various things such as the PlayStation 6, next Xbox, gaming PCs, and all that. We made a similar video on this a few months ago, before the actual presidency itself actually was decided, and I'm kind of gonna go give you guys on both ends, mainly because we had one a few months ago, they're basically discussing the fact of how this tariff can completely go and destroy the gaming sphere as a whole. And while there is some validity towards those statements as well, we're now seeing a little bit more on the opposite spectrum out here, discussing the fact that there might be no income tax coming on out, trying to get rid of the federal mandated income tax, as well as also somewhat like sustaining that same income tax, like basically do a whale, if that's even a word, with the idea of more tariffs. So we're kind of seeing some crazy stuff. People are now kind of concerned that once again a console price is going to go get raised on up, and I'm going to try to be very bipartisan on this video too itself and kind of give you guys both ends, because this is a somewhat valid concern, but also might even be just a leverage bargaining chip when it comes to the overall ecosystem of gaming, consoles, imports and exports, and maybe a part of a bigger piece like puzzle. So we'll have to go and kind of see. I would love to hear your thoughts and comments on this one, although sometimes I do get absolute dumbasses in my YouTube comments. This might be a hard one to go and want to read the comments on, so let's make sure you guys are chill. And of course, I think like 90% of my YouTube comments are usually pretty chill. It's usually whenever a video goes viral, it gets a little bit on the sketchy side. But I think my usual subscribers are usually pretty chill, so thank you guys for that. And let's go and dive in the video. So subscribe if you guys are new. Subscribe for the PS5 Pro giveaway going on over here. Get the bonus entries on the Twitters, Twitches, all that good stuff down below. And of course, as well, the affiliate links to pick up your PS5 Pros before they do end up becoming $1,000, which that might be a little bit fear-mongering on all these articles. So let's go and dive out into it. So as I mentioned, a lot of people have been pretty okay with their consoles, their PlayStations, their PS5 Pros, and all of that. But right now, the topic of tariffs are coming out again. Now, I do want to go and say there's a few high levels for it. Let me get to like the actual facts. Number one is that tariffs are basically just an extra additional tax on basically either companies or countries that are out there to go transport goods into America or outside areas. So things say China, Mexico, UK, whatever it might be, Australia. If they want to go bring any things into America, you'll have to go pay a little extra money on top of it, which is a few kind of reasons why. Number one, it does go and somewhat instigate domestic growth. So instead of having like semiconductors from Taiwan, you want to go and build up companies like say Samsung, etc. in America and have them not have to pay these extra tariffs because, well, these companies could then move back to America. That's kind of the high level for it. And as well, that also makes sure that other outside countries such as China are not making as much money on, say, us as American consumers. Basically, because if they're making their entire economy is running on basically consumerism of Americans, that means that, well, guess what? We're kind of reliant on places like China where they have the leverage. Now, on the reverse side, you have something like a tariff imposed that basically makes that, number one, some price points actually might go up for us as consumers. But as well, if we're trying to go play this like weird like pendulum swing of political macroeconomics, there's a few little other leverages too as well that might go on other various sides. So we don't necessarily know if this tariff can ever kind of go and actually happen. As you guys probably know, politicians are very much like, we can say this and do this, and the idea of getting rid of federal income tax is also maybe good, maybe bad. Economists are kind of going every way. And that's why I'm kind of establishing that there could be good, could be bad, because the idea of no federal income tax is also very nice, because in theory, that should lead more money towards people in their pockets. But as well, if there's higher tariffs, that also may make some prices actually maybe go up, because usually the tariff cost, if it goes up, will be imposed then to the user, like the buyer, the consumer, aka us. And that's why a lot of people are saying that console prices could now be skyrocketing by 40% due to the Donald Trump victory, and then tariffs can make a PS5 Pro cost up to $1,000, experts are now saying. So I do want to go and highlight that this could also just be a like more of a nothing burger in terms of ideas and concepts. It could potentially be better with federal income tax rates, and as well, there also could be some negatives in case, like, say, countries just want to go and stiff arm us and they don't care, and those go and keep on selling, say, semiconductors, consoles, chips, whatever it might be, just at the improved cost for the consumer. So why now? No one knows. And that's the idea of politics, is that it could be good, could be bad, could be ugly. I'm trying to be a little bit on the bipartisan side over here, because there is a little bit of a leverage when it comes to, say, talking to China and being like, hey, we're going to go and just tax the absolute ever-living out of all your stuff. Well, maybe work with us and we can maybe get you a better deal. It's kind of like a fool's man argument. We kind of try to say we're going to raise your tariffs by 40%. All right, you want to go wiggle down to 2%? Yeah, it's definitely better than 40. We can go agree with this. The economy keeps on running, and then America kind of keeps a bit of leverage. At least that's the idea of what I'm presenting if we want to go and have a big global macroeconomic kind of all-out war. Or as well, that also would drive maybe bigger companies such as Apple, etc., to go and stay with their domestic production. Although there is a little bit on the outside side where sometimes actually having a lot more production takes a while to ramp on up. You need to go build these factories, these fabs, and also at the same time do testing, mass production. And at that same exact time, unless you do have things such as government subsidies and tax breaks, it's kind of hard to go and incentivize companies out it. So this is basically trying to give companies a tax break without giving them a tax break. So anyway, that was a lot of macro talk over there, kind of give them both sides. So hopefully no one in the YouTube comments will go and roast me, because I think that was a pretty bipartisan take. It could be really bad. It can ruin the prices for, say, consoles and consumers on one end, or at the end of the day, maybe this is just more of a bargaining chip, or as well the federal income tax, if that can even get cut on through. God only knows what's going to happen. So the first 3 days of their intramural presidency, we don't really know. But it does also, with all that kind of macro talk out here, comes the fact that people are concerned that some of these consoles can get a massive price increase. We touched on this a few weeks ago, and it seems like it's making its rounds again. Basically saying that now that Donald Trump has won the presidency of it, some people are kind of worried about this, worried about the prices, worried about what the economy is going to go. I will go say really quickly, once again, not to be bipartisan, my stocks have gone absolutely crazy at this point, and this is going to be a long-term thing. The stock market, which I know isn't always the most indicative of where the economy is going, you have to worry about jobs, you have to worry about unemployment, you have to worry about actual inflation, all that type of stuff. But in terms of the overall global economy, most people assume that Donald Trump in the pure financial sector believe it's kind of somewhat of a win, even with the idea of tariffs on the market. But once again, a lot of people are now assuming that the PS5 Pro could actually have a massive $1,000 price point if these tariffs actually do come into play, which is once again driving some skepticisms and concerns, especially in the gaming sphere. So many people upgrade their GPUs. Semiconductors are very sought after. Taiwan is a major, basically economy that we have to worry about building a very large majority of the entire world's semiconductors. Same things too as well with Ukraine, that actually has a very big, vast amount of global resources that are basically meant to go utilize for semiconductors. So all these really big areas right now in terms of gas, in terms of fuel, in terms of actual natural resources, semiconductor production, are basically what kind of makes the world and economy keep on turning, which is why it goes back to something like a PS5 Pro. A lot of these things in, say, China or outside regions, Taiwan, etc., are always making these different types of products. So saying right now, according to tariffs, the tariffs on Chinese imports, which would be things like consoles, and they always mention this even on these things as well, look at the article titles, all this type of stuff, which is somewhat concerned. We don't know. We don't necessarily know what's going to happen. Saying which you could see price increases by nearly 50%. Gamers have a reason to be concerned, as consoles could experience a similar increase. It's estimated that prices could raise by around 40%. From Trump's perspective, the fixed tax would help boost the U.S. manufacturing industry, as I mentioned, saying bringing more stuff domestic. However, it would impact the prices of products from China, which, as you guys know, China is our pretty much biggest exporter for America. In response, the Consumer Technology Association conducted a study to simulate and measure the potential impact of a 60% base tariff on electronics like consoles, computers, and smartphones, and more. Across the board, tariffs will cause a significant price increase for the U.S. consumer, which, once again, if they're trying to get rid of the federal tax rate, that would technically go bring down the price points, but we don't necessarily know if that equilibrium is going to work out well. And once again, this could just be a full-on first arm, strong arm, saying we're going to raise stuff by 60%, and they can maybe have a 2, 3, 4, 5%er, or at least have some sort of a better trade deal and leverage, which could also make a lot of sense. The study concluded that the measure would have an immediate impact on prices for all Chinese imports in the United States. As a result, this increase could affect other markets, as the price hike would be passed on to consumers. According to the calculations, a high-end graphics card could jump from $900 to $1,300, while monitors and PCs would see an approximate increase of $109 USD or $74 respectively. Across the board, the tariffs could cause significant price increases for the U.S. consumer, said the Consumer Technology Association regarding Trump's measure, which is going to affect after he takes an office as of January 2025. And Donald Trump has apparently hated video games. Who would have thought? We would have thought. Politicians worldwide have criticized video games on various occasions for God knows why, and apparently too as well for August 2019, just in regards to some the more serious issues, they were brought up. Now I think it's kind of a random thing over here too as well, because I'm sure with his son, other family members, it's probably just more of a naysay. They've been on video game streams on Twitch, so I'm sure that perspective has probably changed in the last 5 years or so. But either way, this is an intriguing concept, because a lot of people are assuming all these tariffs over here could be completely affecting the entire planet. But this is why I sometimes think like, while consoles could go up in price and it is a valid concern, I kind of feel like this is more of a leverage play. Like if I want to go and kind of give my random insights of, economies or whatever it might be, I'm just some random idiot online, so nothing really matters that much at the end of the day. But when it comes to this stuff, I do think the overall consumerism aspect of America is very high. And I do think as we kind of see these global articles from like the BBC saying that these tariffs could cost over $22 billion for exports, I really kind of feel like this is going to be a very big leverage play from America. I don't think the idea and concept of consoles going for $1,000 or more is a really realistic scenario. I myself would probably never buy a PlayStation 6 if the console itself was $1,400. And I don't think places like Sony, Samsung, and other various electronic makers are going to be okay with that. And I do believe as well this might be more of a bargaining chip, because if you have something like China over here and we have a 60% tariff tax, they are definitely going to either try their best to lower that or as well completely go and disregard America and try to go and bolster up other economies such as India, or even maybe other big places like Russia. Whoever actually knows. Maybe a place in Africa. God only knows. But the idea behind this right now is that we're going to have to go and see what happens in the console market, gaming sphere. I'm not really the biggest fan of having to go and spend more money on this, and we're going to have to wait a few more months to go and see what actually does happen on the proper political implication of all these different types of tariffs and tax cuts and everything else, because the entire planet could be completely changed up in these next 4 months. But either way, if you guys are looking to get your consoles early, this might be a good early buy to get things on in before any potential tariffs that may or may not happen go pop on your console itself. And I do believe this is, at least in my opinion, more of a political bargaining chip. We'll have to go and see in the next 4 or 5 months. Could be completely wrong, but at the same exact time, I hope I do not have to spend another $1,300 to get a PlayStation 6. So either way, electronics are going to be on the watch out for that. And as well, if it even kind of brings in more homegrown domestic growth for the general GDP, I'm okay with that one. And this might be a little bit on the political side, so I apologize that one, but I try to be pretty bipartisan when it came to my opinions and my thoughts. There's a chance on it, and hopefully the tariffs is more of a bargaining chip. We don't have to spend a lot of money on consoles. So I hope you guys will enjoy my take on this one, and we'll see if we're going to have a PS5 Pro at $1,200. So make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on. Thankfully, we do already have our PS5 Pro ready to lock on out to give one of you guys out for a giveaway. So subscribe here, our second channel, and all the various Twitters and Twitches down below. And of course, we also have the affiliate links for all the consoles as well down below. Just want to pick on up. Appreciate you guys all for watching. Talk to you guys all soon.